Greetings, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, depending on wherever you are, and welcome to my podcast, Plan B Success. Let me ask you a few questions before we begin. Are you starting on a new career and trying to find your purpose? Or do you find yourself in a role that you don't like but are sticking on to it, yet unhappy? Did you get laid off from your job recently and are searching what to do next? Or trying to find your passion and how to leverage it in order to become bigger and better in terms of your career, professional, as well as your personal life? Do you think the money is great in your current job or business, but you still find it unfulfilling? Are you looking at reinvesting in yourself or your business and taking it to the next level? Well, whatever the case might be, I believe Plan B Success is for you. My name is Rajiv Mudumba, and I've been an entrepreneur throughout my life. I have been a professional executive too at various points of my life. I have kind of grown from scratch to where I am today, and this is my way of paying back in terms of all the lessons that I learned and then sharing it with all of you here. Now, what I'm going to do with Plan B Success is it's going to be released 3 times a week, and we plan to release material that will help you chisel your personal life, your professional life, your career, your business, and help you get to be a new you. That's what Plan B is all about. We all do things in life at various points in time, some successful, some not so successful, but we're all trying to reinvent ourselves, and this is exactly what this podcast is all about. If you believe that there is one thing that this podcast or a particular episode has helped you with in terms of your own life, your own career, your own business, then my ask of you is that you stick with us and help spread the word. If you believe there's at least one thing that you've learned, make sure you apply, but at the same time, let at least one person, perhaps a friend or a family member who's in probably a similar situation, who's struggling, help them out, spread the word so that they may also benefit from it. Let's pay it forward. Having said that, let's talk what Plan B is all about. Plan B is going to be a podcast with 3 sessions or 3 releases each week. 2 of them, I'm going to talk about things from my experience, things that I've learned, things that I continue to learn, things that I've applied, have worked for me, things that could probably work for you, and it'll be more of something that I will embellish on as I get deeper and dive deeper into different topics. And we'll learn about that in a minute. Whereas one particular episode is going to be an interview with someone who's had their own share of struggles and has come out successful in terms of being a successful professional or a business person or an entrepreneur, investor, who's made their money, who'll talk about how they got to their success, but they'll also talk about some of the lessons that they've learned along the way, some of the challenges that they faced and how they overcame them. Now, there are a dime a dozen podcasts out there that interview entrepreneurs, so I wanted to give this one a little bit different spiel in terms of actually discussing specific topics and diving deep into them, at the same time bringing in entrepreneurs and helping make sure that they talk about their successes, their failures, and things that have helped them as they moved along. Hopefully, there's lessons learned for all of us from this, and we can share it further with others who are looking for similar lessons as they move through their life, through their business, through their personal and professional careers. Now, let's begin with this first episode. This first episode, I'd like to begin with gratitude or grace. Well, gratitude for this life, gratitude for what you do in your career, in your business, gratitude for your family, friends, and all the good things in life that you get to experience. That's what we're going to begin with. When I look at life, I look at it as this big cake that we're all handed, this big round juicy cake that we're all handed, and then it's ours to partake of. That's what life is all about. And then when you look at this cake, You can cut about 4 or 5 triangles, equal triangles out of it, and that's your entire life. So let's say we take about 20 years of our life as each slice. That's about 4 or 5 slices that we each get out of our own cake throughout our life. That's how life is traditionally structured. And when we look at these 4 or 5 pieces, let's start with the first one, the first 20 years. This is the first slice of the cake that you get to partake of, and this is where you learn about your surroundings, you make friends, you get an education, probably in a formal or an informal setup. You grow up, you continue to grow up. That's the first part of life, your childhood, where you're learning and absorbing and making sense of all the different things that are around you. Then the second slice represents the next 20 years of your life. This is where you look to land a job. You try to hold on to it. You find a girlfriend or a wife, start a family, and you start think about, how do I spend time trying to master the craft of providing stability to myself and my family. That's what you're doing in the next 20 years of your life. The first 20 years, the first slice, you're learning about life. It's learning and absorbing throughout. By the time you get to the second slice, you're trying to stand up on your own 2 feet. You're trying to start a family and then provide for yourself and others as well. And then the third slice, the next 20 years of your life, this is the point where you actually get to a certain point where you're trying to make sense of your life. This is the point where you look back at your 40 years or the first 2 slices that you've partaken, and then you look forward at whatever's remaining, and then you try to make sense of your life. What the hell have I been doing all along? How did I end up here? Those are some of the questions that you're trying to answer for yourself. Mind you, those thoughts apply to either extreme or somewhere along the spectrum where you will find yourself. You might be someone who might say, wow, how much have I achieved over the last 40 years? Or you might be someone who might say, what the hell have I been doing? Where did I go wrong? Where do I need to course correct? So it could be either way. Then you also start asking questions of yourself as to, is this the life I dreamed of? Is this how I thought my life would turn up to be or shape up to be? Is this what I wanted to be in my life? Depending on whatever business or profession that you're running. And then your personal life too. You know, is this how I thought my happiness, my personal life would be? What are my kids doing? What are they learning? How do I make sure that they learn the right things? What is there within my experiences that I can share with them so that I'm helping them shape their life the way that they would like it to be? Meanwhile, while you're thinking through all this, you also have to ensure that you provide for your family. You provide for your kids so that they become independent as they grow up. And a lot of people actually have this realization during this third piece of cake, during this third phase of life. You try to reason with yourself, you try to reason with your current life, and you're either happy, you're either unhappy, or somewhere in between. And this is the time where you're trying to make that bold attempt to pursue a passion or a hobby so that you do not miss out on life. You've done certain things during the first 40 years of your life, and you're at a point where you're debating, what am I missing out? What do I need to change about myself? What do I need to do in order to make sure that I don't regret things as my life passes by? Then the fourth piece of the cake is the next 20 years. This is where you rediscover your freedom. Your kids have become independent and they're probably savoring their own second or third piece of cake. And this is where you're probably contemplating retirement or have already retired. And you're making sense of the newfound time and joy on your hands, and spend reflecting on how you've lived so far, how you've consumed your last 3 pieces of cake. And this is also the time where you continue exuberantly with your hobbies, passions, and rekindle relationships that you have perhaps neglected for a certain period of time, or you did not have time for them. Go back and visit old friends, try to rekindle those relationships, and then start enjoying the spirit of independence that you've gained now that your kids have become independent themselves. Now, this is that fourth piece of cake where you're actually savoring your life, your life, whatever you've done over the years, and now you're actually enjoying the benefits of retirement and such. Now, the final piece of the cake, that's the last leg of the journey. This is the time to find joy in your kids and their pieces of cake and how they're partaking of them. Share your experiences so that they can course correct and learn from them. And at times, let them discover themselves by making their own mistakes. Sometimes you gotta let go. Sometimes things are best learned when you experience them. And if you believe that that's good for them, then that's what you do for them. Now, this is the time to also continue to pursue the passions and hobbies that you had, and find use for them, for not just you, but for the new generation. This is the time to teach them or partake, or make sure that they understand, make sure that you provide them the knowledge of your passions and hobbies from your time so that the new generation can seek them and look at them and take away what is best for them. Now, this is a new time. There's new generations out there, and it's also a time to lay content and rest in peace while reminiscing your cake and how you savored it throughout your life. That's what this final piece of cake is all about. Now, every one of us gets to cut our own pieces of cake, some four, some five, and some even three. Each of us consumes our cake at our own pace, and in some cases, we end up doing more in one particular 20-year span than others, which is okay. You may learn more or experience life at a different pace, or even introduce some non traditional shortcut during a certain period of your life that has helped you. Every life is unique. Your life is unique. You are unique. And it's important that you remember that and you savor your pieces of cake, you savor your life the way you want to. And that's what you got to gather from this. However, we all have our own cakes and we get to eat it too. And you've got yours. So whichever piece you're savoring right now, you know exactly how it is. You know exactly what you got to do. You know exactly the passions and hobbies that you need to pursue, the relationships that you need to mend, the business ethics or the business logic or the professional dynamics that you need to ensure that you're in control of in order to get to where you want to be. Since it's your life, it's your cake. And that's what we need to have gratitude for in terms of making sure that we all are happy and thankful for our lives, and then we make the most of it.